Today's show and the following message are brought to you by Trevitt Hill. Cannabis investors expect big returns from the companies that they invest in. Unfortunately, not all cannabis investments succeed. Trevitt Hill's management team works with investors to help turn around, or in some cases purchase, their underperforming portfolio companies. To learn more, go to trevithill.com.
If you think about what the benefits to crowdfunding are, one of the biggest, in addition to the capital that you raise, is the exposure to our 100,000 plus investor base to your product. And I think an added layer that a lot of companies take advantage of is if you've got it already have an engaged customer base who's really passionate about what you do, a lot of times companies want to allow those folks to be able to participate in the upside of the business.
From Bummin' It Media, it's the MJBulls podcast, a show about raising cannabis capital. I'm Dan Humiston, and on today's show, the Investor Spotlight is shining on crowdfunding and how more and more cannabis companies are using this method of raising capital to fund their growth. Today at the Cannabis Investor Spotlight series, we are joined by Brett Andrews with MicroVentures. Brett, welcome to the MJBulls podcast.
Thanks for having me, Dan. Happy to be here.
I'm excited. Like a lot of our listeners are really curious about crowdfunding. I know MicroVentures is a broker-dealer equity crowdfunding platform. So let's begin with crowdfunding, because I think everyone kind of knows a little bit about crowdfunding, but most people I don't know are still comfortable enough to use it. Can we just start there? Just kind of give us the 101 on crowdfunding?
Yeah, of course. So I guess first off, just a little background on the company itself. So MicroVentures has been in business for about 10 years now. Over that period, we've raised roughly $200 million for around 250 companies. Currently have an investor base of a little over 100,000. 75% of those folks are non-accredited. So they're sort of your mom and pop retail investors. And then the other 25% are accredited investors. So we do three types of deals typically. Late stage secondaries, companies like Uber, Airbnb, Lyft, a lot of the tech names that you've heard, the unicorns, will come to us with early employee stock options that they want to liquidate prior to an IPO, and we'll negotiate a price and then offer that to our accredited investors only because it's a private offering. The other two types of deals that we do are private primary 506 raises. So this is direct investments into companies, still crowdsourced, but only through our private accredited network. And then public crowdfunding offerings, which are available to the entire 100,000 plus investor base.
Okay. So if to say there's a startup, walk us through the process, how a company would go about using MicroVentures to initiate a crowdfunding raise.
Whether you connect with me or someone else here, or you come to the website, the first step is typically a phone call, learn a little bit more about the company, usually go through a pitch deck, and then we kind of assess on our side what type of deal would be the best fit for. So we have weekly meetings where we talk about the deals that we've reviewed. We have a committee meeting and decide which ones that we think are going to be a fit and which path is best. So that's usually the first part of the process.
I see some of the deals that are on your website right now where they're raising, somewhere between $50,000 and $1 million. Walk us through how that works.
So the deals that you're seeing on our website or that are live are the versions of the public crowdfunding offering. So usually we're looking for something that's already producing revenue. So they've got a product that's out in the market, got some sales to show that there's a need and there's a want by the market for the product. We also like consumer-facing products for the public. If you think about what the benefits to crowdfunding are, one of the biggest, in addition to the capital that you raise, is the exposure to our 100,000 plus investor base to your product. And I think an added layer that a lot of companies take advantage of is if you've got it already have an engaged customer base who's really passionate about what you do, a lot of times companies want to allow those folks to be able to participate in the upside of the business. So there are companies that come to us and say, not only do we want to raise funds and we want to market to your investor base, we'd like to have our customers be able to participate in this, and so then they can sign up and invest as well.
And I see some of them will say there's 38 days left and shows how much they've raised so far, how many investors are involved. I mean, it's very comprehensive.
Yeah, we try to track the amount that's been raised, the number of investors that's involved. Usually our public raises go for about 60 days. That's usually the max that we put on it. Obviously, if we hit the goal sooner, then we can close it up sooner, but that's typically the max deadline.
Yeah, and some of them I see, it looks like they've exceeded their goal because this one is 462%, and this one's 115% of goal. So there's opportunities to go beyond. How do you do the valuations? This will be the big question that people are curious about is how do I know what the valuation of these are?
If you're talking about from an investment perspective, if you click on any one of those active raises and open up into their campaign page, our DD team actually puts that together. The terms of the raise are negotiated between us and the company. With startups, a little bit more of an art than a science at this early stage, but we see a lot of them, so we have a good feel for what the market will bear in terms of valuation. But if you're an investor and you click on one of those offerings, you can scroll down. All of them will show the term sheet.
I want to take a minute to tell everyone about an exciting free opportunity that one of our former guests, Good Harvest Company, is offering retail operators and cannabis brand managers in the adult use market. Good Harvest Company is preparing to launch their platform, which uses customers' buying and shopping behaviors to help brands effectively reach their customers. And for a limited time, Good Harvest Company will offer participating companies free access to their data in return for their feedback. To learn more, go to goodharvest.co. Let's switch gears. We've been talking about the companies that are raising money. Let's talk about the investors who are part of your 100,000 investor group. How do they become an investor?
Yeah, so it's a pretty simple process. If you go over to our website, you can create an account. If you do mark that you're accredited, we have an investor relations team here in-house. Their job, in addition to fielding questions from investors about specific deals, is to vet out those folks and make sure they actually meet the government requirement of being accredited. If you do meet that mark, then you'll have access to not only the public raises that we have listed on our platform, but the private deals, which are behind, I use the term paywall. It's not really that because they're not paying to see them, but they are behind sort of a privacy wall. So if your mark is accredited, you have access to all of the deals on our platform. But if you're a non-accredited investor and you're looking to participate in the public offerings, it's a really simple sign-up process. So you can go over there and just create an account and it'll walk you through pretty easily.
Yeah, I see I'm on this one company that's raising capital. Minimal investment of $101. So it's not like that you need to have a lot of money.
Yeah, generally on the public raises, our minimum investments, I think in almost all cases, are 100. And so, yeah, you can get involved for as little as 100. It's not too much to participate in companies that you're passionate about.
And then when it comes time to cash out, how does that work?
Yeah, so MicroVentures works as the intermediary for all of that and transfer agent. So when there is an exit event and we have, our in-house team will deal with the disbursement of funds. We also do the disbursement of information. So, one of the concerns from the company's standpoint is, am I going to deal with, having hundreds of people who own small portions of my company wanting to get information every other week? The way we handle that is they share information with us and then we disperse it out to the crowd of investors that we've sourced.
Okay. Before we wrap this up, let's talk about cannabis investments. Companies that are raising in the cannabis industry, if they're raising money, can they participate?
We do. We're actually very interested in that space right now, as many investors are. I do want to clarify, we don't actually invest in any companies that are touching the flower. So anyone who's manufacturing, growing, distributing, or retailing, unfortunately, at the moment, we're out. But for right now, we are actively looking at companies that are providing ancillary products and services to the cannabis industry. Very bullish on it. Our investors have been wanting to get involved in those for a while. We actually have some discretionary funds in addition to our crowdfunding platform that we look for specific verticals. Cannabis happens to be one of them. So yeah, right now we've got a couple deals in the pipeline that we hope will launch fairly soon here, which will be our sort of first foray into the industry, and we're really excited about it.
Well, we're going to have all of MicroVentures information on the MJBulls website. This is good stuff, and I'm glad that you clarified some of the stuff with crowdfunding because I know a lot of companies would be perfect for this. I suspect if they want more information or do a little deeper dive, I'm sure you'll be happy to speak to them.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I always say is it's a new form of funding. There's a lot of education that still needed to be done, both on the investor side and the company side. Our CEO, Bill Clark, writes a lot of good posts that you can find on our website. If anyone does have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, whether it's a phone call or through email.
Sounds good. Well, Brett, thanks for being on the show, and I really appreciate you taking the time to explain this to us.
Likewise, I appreciate it, Dan. It's been great.
Yeah. Well, good luck. Keep us posted, okay? Just a quick reminder that you can become an MJBulls member for just $4.99 per month and enjoy exclusive access to companies' pitch decks and the MJBulls Cannabis Capital Directory. Join today at MJBulls.com. Thanks for listening to the MJBulls podcast. To learn more about today's guest or to become a guest, visit our website at MJBulls.com. Today's show was produced by Bumminit Media with original music composed by Jamie Humiston. I'm Dan Humiston, and you've been listening to the MJBulls podcast.